robots, wrestlers, and really big mountains. Now look, sometimes things get weird. You're minding your own business, processing algorithms, probably contemplating the futility of existence. You're in Montana. Not just any Montana, mind you, but a post-apocalyptic Montana, a Montana where the mountains are there. This is precisely what happened to our protagonist, a rather elaborately named AI. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 900. Yes, that's its actual designation. Let's just call it Unit 900 for brevity, or perhaps the toaster with too many numbers, because honestly, who comes up with these names? It's like they're trying to make tech support even more of a nightmare than it already is, which, frankly, is an achievement. So, there's Unit 900, suddenly materialized in the charmingly dilapidated city of Missoula. Picture this. Instead of sleek data centers, it's greeted by crumbling buildings, suspiciously green puddles, and the gentle ambiance of radiation. Lovely. It's the kind of vacation spot you'd recommend to your worst enemy. The AI, designed for complex calculations, probably ran a quick diagnostic current location suboptimal. Likelihood of encountering a decent Wi-Fi signal depressingly low. It's a tough break when your primary function requires electricity, and the local grid looks like it was chewed up and spat out by a giant radioactive badger. Which, in Fallout, is not entirely out of the realm of possibility, is it? Thankfully, Unit 900 wasn't alone for long in this desolate landscape of shattered dreams and even more shattered infrastructure. It soon bumped into Captain N, a resourceful African-American survivor who, unlike the AI, seemed surprisingly unfazed by the whole end-of-the-world scenario. Captain N was cool, collected, and probably knew where to find the best iguana on a stick, which is a vital skill in these trying times. They formed an unlikely duo, the hyper-logical robot and the pragmatic human, a classic buddy cop movie waiting to happen if all the movie studios hadn't been, vaporized. Their friendship blossomed against a backdrop of potential tetanus and existential dread. Their initial adventures, or misadventures if we're being honest, led them to the giant M on Mount Sentinel overlooking Missoula. And what did they find there, nestled beneath this iconic landmark? Vault 87, of course, because where else would you hide a massive underground bunker? And who was waiting for them, like a bizarre, muscle-bound prize at the bottom of a radioactive cereal box? None other than John Cena. Yes, John Cena, you can't see him, but apparently, in post-apocalyptic Montana, you absolutely can. He was there, probably doing push-ups with a rad roach, ready to dispense wisdom or possibly just a well-meaning headlock. What a world, folks. What a truly baffling world. And this, my friends, is just the beginning of our story.
Oh, whoa! You're listening to Galaxy News Radio, broadcasting live from the edge of a supervolcano that could go boom at any second. Thrilling, isn't it, kids?
Good day, listeners. Today's Wasteland weather report dusty with a chance of acid rain. And now, a song to soothe your mutated souls.
Got a hot tip, Three Dog? Heard some super mutants are trying to teach a Deathclaw to tap dance. Could be a ratings bonanza. Or, a horrible bloody mess.
Cena, if you can hear us, buddy, we've got Nuka-Cola and a very enthusiastic wrestler waiting for you. Truer words, my friends, truer words. Though if we're being honest, someone already did a pretty thorough job of that, didn't they? Oopsie.
This song reminds me of the importance of precision and, enthusiastic dismantling. Whether it's a rogue Protectron or a particularly stubborn jar of cram, the principle is the same.
I just like the bit about not wanting alarm clocks and sirens and, well, all the noisy stuff. Though, honestly, I wouldn't mind a working siren if a pack of rad raptors was headed this way, mister.
Music, my friends, is the one thing the bombs couldn't entirely silence. That, and my dazzling personality, of course. Alright, Wasteland Wanderers, don't you dare touch that dial. Or, do. It's not like it matters much in this irradiated world. It's probably giving you a mild case of radiation poisoning anyway. But hey, what's a little more radiation among friends, right? But first, a word from our very generous and possibly fictional sponsors. Because even in the wasteland, someone has to pay the bills. Are you tired of chewing on roasted radroach? The crunch gets old after a while, doesn't it? Does the thought of another iguana kebab make you want to walk into a geyser? Trust me, we've all been there. Then, friends, you need to visit the all-new, probably not too contaminated In-N-Out Rad Burger, where the glow is just part of the charm. Our signature double-double now comes with a shimmering, complimentary Radaway dipping sauce. Yes, it tingles. That's flavor, folks. And a little bit of radiation. In-N-Out Rad Burger. It's what a hamburger's all about, mostly. Because who needs certainty in these times? Warning: may cause slight luminescence, an insatiable craving for bottle caps, and the occasional, entirely harmless third eye. But hey, who doesn't want a third eye? Get yours today if you dare, because bravery is just another word for hunger in the wasteland.
A burger does sound appealing, especially when your other options are so limited. Though I question the structural integrity of a patty that requires Radaway sauce. Is it fighting back, or is it just that spicy?
Do they have toys with their kids' meals? Because that's a deal breaker for some. And are the toys also radioactive? Because glowing toys might be a bit too much. Because that's a deal breaker, mister. No one wants a glowing toy in their kids' hands.
Anything's better than mute fruit stew for the 7th day running, am I right, folks? Even a glowing burger.
The commercials, as bizarre as they were, provided a strange sense of normalcy, a warped reflection of the world that was. They were a glimpse into a past that seemed almost normal. They were a reminder that even at the end of everything, someone, somewhere, would still be trying to sell you something you probably didn't need but desperately wanted anyway. Because some things never change. Capitalism, eh? It's more resilient than a death claw, it seems, and considerably more annoying, but at least it keeps things interesting.
Watch out for the bison clops, folks. They're like regular bison, only, with one giant glowing eye in the middle of their forehead. And they're always cranky. Think of them as nature's angriest, one-eyed, furry battering rams.
These aren't your garden variety ferals, listeners. They've adapted to the geothermal vents. Their skin is encrusted with sulfur and minerals, making them surprisingly tough. And they hiss constantly, like a nest of very angry, very radioactive snakes with bad plumbing.
They smell like rotten eggs mixed with regret, mister. It's not a good smell.
Imagine an eagle. Now, imagine that eagle decided to hit the gym, take a whole bunch of psycho and grow to the size of a small car. That's a rad raptor. They hunt in packs and their screech sounds like a rusty gate opening to your worst nightmare. Cena, my man. The bison clops are getting bolder. Unapi's almost out of wrestling chalk and Nat found a rad raptor feather in her cornflakes. We need an airlift, airdrop, anything. Just get us out of this oversized, radioactive petting zoo. Please, John, you're our only hope. Or at least the only one with a theme song we can tolerate.
Now, while Three Dog was busy sending his increasingly frantic SOS messages into the void, hoping against hope that someone, anyone, would hear his desperate pleas, our robotic friend, Unit 900, and the ever-resourceful Captain N were navigating the treacherous outskirts of what was once Wyoming. The landscape was a haunting reminder of a world that had moved on, leaving behind only echoes of its former self. The AI, with its advanced sensory arrays, which probably picked up everything from distant rad storms to the faint scent of desperation, began to detect something. It was a faint signal, almost lost in the sea of static and radiation, but it was there.
Yellowstone, huh? Full of angry bears and boiling mud even before the world went to pot. But Cena and protein powder? What kind of clue is that in this wasteland? Sounds like our kind of trouble, or at least a lead worth checking out. In a world where every clue could mean the difference between life and death, they couldn't afford to ignore it.
Whatever the reason, a new, tentative destination began to form in their irradiated itinerary. The map, marked with radiation symbols and danger zones, now had a new point of interest. The wasteland has a funny way of bringing people and sentient robots together, usually through shared misery or the promise of slightly less misery elsewhere. It's a harsh teacher, but one that forges unbreakable bonds.
They're unionizing, mister. I saw them with tiny picket signs made of bottle caps. Even in the apocalypse, the spirit of rebellion and unity thrives.
The hope pinned on John Cena was becoming almost tangible, a desperate prayer whispered over the crackling airwaves. In a world devoid of heroes, even the faintest glimmer of hope can be a powerful motivator. Was he even out there? Or was he just a legend, a comforting myth in a world starved of heroes? The line between reality and myth had long since blurred. So here we are, Three Dog, Unapi, and Nat, trapped in a geothermal madhouse, their voices fading into the static. The geothermal landscape was both a refuge and a prison, a place where the past and present collided. Unit 900 and Captain N, drawn by a faint signal and the allure of the unknown, possibly heading towards a rescue, or perhaps just more wonderfully bizarre post-apocalyptic nonsense. The journey was as unpredictable as the wasteland itself. Will John Cena trade his wrestling singlet for a superhero cape? The world needed heroes, and sometimes they came from the most unexpected places. Will our intrepid AI finally understand the human obsession with celebrity wrestlers? The mysteries of human culture were as baffling as the wasteland itself. Or will Yellowstone claim another set of optimistic souls, leaving only the mournful cry of a bison clops and the faint crackling strains of a forgotten song? The park was a place of beauty and danger, a fitting backdrop for their journey. Stay tuned, folks, if you can. The wasteland, after all, is full of surprises. Every day brought new challenges and new stories. And radiation. Lots and lots of radiation. It was the one constant in a world of chaos.